Hello, everybody, and welcome to Antonio and I. I'm Owen. This is Antonio. We are teaching you guys Fantasy 101. We're teaching you the basics of fantasy. We've taught you how to build a league, how to invite your friends, how to draft in that league. And now we are teaching you guys how to prepare for your season.
So without further ado, we're going to go in. You just drafted this team, right? For now, we're going to use my team. I added a random terrible player. He's not terrible, but a player that we don't like anymore. So let's say Ryan Johansson here. I'm not happy with his last year performance. I'm like, I wasn't happy with that pick during the draft. It was like the second last pick in the draft. I really think I can do better. So I'm going to go to add player here. And look at my free agents, right? And for you guys, what's going to show up is the last year's stats, right? So let me just go 2021 season. Stuff from last year. So I'm going to look at this. I'm going to say, let me go to average really quickly. See who had the most average points.
Okay.
And obviously, you're not going to pick any of these players at the top, but you're going to want to pick one of these players here with the highest total points. So let me sort by total really quickly. We are not going to pick Evander Kane because if you were looking at our account over the last couple months, he has done some bad stuff and he's not in the NHL currently.
Ooh.
But I think we're going to take Jake Muzzin, okay?
He actually tried to fight Jake Paul in a boxing match. He actually challenged him. You know that? Evander Kane?
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose Braden Shen because I actually realized I wanted a forward. So I'm going to take him, right? I'm going to look at Ryan Johansson. A good indicator that it was a bad pick for you is that their roster percentage is going to be.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that he's 63% rostered.
He's 23% rostered. So that's like an instant red flag. Victor Olofsson's also 27 for us, which is kind of yikes. But we're dropping Ryan Johansson to start, okay? And that's how you're going to make a waiver ad. So we put out weekly ads and drop posts on our Instagram, as well as talking about stuff like this on our podcast at Fantasy Hockey Pucks, like we've said in previous episodes of this Fantasy 101. That's basically what you're going to want to do. Instantly, as soon as you're done your draft, you want to look in there. And sometimes there's some hidden gems that somebody forgot about. Like they forgot about Jack Eichel because he was out the whole year. Or they forgot about who's somebody else that was injured. Aaron Ekblad. He was out for a long time. Maybe they forgot about him. Sometimes they just rank people like very low in the draft. So those are the people you're going to want to look out for.
Yeah, actually, speaking of rankings, the biggest reason you need to stay up to date with the people we're telling you to pick up is that you maybe just look at the position rank and then see that they're not very high position ranked. And then you take all the people with the lowest position rank who are playing the best, except it's an 82 game season. It's a long season. You're going to have people going through cold and hot stretches. And we know that some players are either way worse or way better than they're actually playing. So that position rank, it doesn't mean everything, even though it seems pretty straightforward. It actually isn't. So make sure you're keeping up to date with the sleepers we're telling you to pick up, even though maybe statistically it doesn't look like they're actually that good.
Yeah, and that kind of just links back to what I was wanting to say. So just a key thing to remember, guys, you don't want to drop anybody, even if they've been going on a cold streak, like Owen said, unless we say otherwise. Say like my guy, Nathan McKinnon here. He is an elite player. But maybe if I go to his last 15-day stats. Okay, that's a bad example. But Kyle Connor, if you look at his 2022 season stats, hey, I don't know my stats off by heart. He's averaging 2.5 fantasy points right there, right? If you go to his last 15 days, he's only at 1.7. So just because he's like that, I'm not going to drop him because he's dropped his average, okay? I'm going to keep him on the team because I know that he's going to pick up the pace, and these 7 days or 15 days aren't a big indicator of what he can actually do as a player. Likewise, if I see somebody on waivers that just had a hat trick game, they were on like the third line and somehow they got a hat trick or something. Let me go average here. They usually come up at the top of average. Say this guy, Will Borgen. 2.7 fantasy points, right? Likely not going to be a consistent guy considering he's only played 2 games and the rest of the league's played 20.
And he's also 0.3% rostered. That means he's rostered in 0.3% of leagues. Exactly. So that's also as we mentioned before, it's a super helpful indicator to look at. Are these numbers like super inflated? Like, are they actually consistent?
But I just want to point out that like although roster percentage matters, I wouldn't be adding and dropping people solely because of this. Like if you look at Brock Nelson, he has 68.1% roster percentage. That doesn't necessarily mean I want to add him for somebody.
No, like, for sure. It's not going to make or break anything, but it does help
exactly. But it's a helpful indicator because if somebody's at like under 30, they're probably not a great player, and you might not want to consider whether you want to own them at all. Okay. Another helpful thing you can look at is compare players. So you can actually select 2 players and you can bring them to the top and compare them, and it will give you the green for whoever is doing better at that. So currently Ryan Getzlaf, he has 24 blocks compared to JT Compher's 9. And you can see the rest of the comparisons up at the top there. You can do this for more than 2 players. I just chose to do 2. And then trending is the last one that I wanted to point out for you guys. So if you see, it brings up the hottest players, plus 5% added, minus 3% added, plus 3% added. Okay, and it shows you their position ranking. That's what PRK is, as well as their roster percentage. So that's just something interesting to look at, as well as schedule. If you're picking somebody up to win this week, that's another strategy you can use. Say you see that somebody's playing 5 games this week. Like maybe the Anaheim Ducks, I believe they were playing 5 games this week. So Vinny Lettieri might be somebody that you consider picking up, as he's been doing pretty well recently. All right. Is there any other points that we should be bringing up, Owen?
No, I think we're pretty good here. I guess the only thing is a lot of the times a player, if you're doing a league that isn't keepers, like it's redraft every league, there will be a player that you know the name of and you know they're really good, but they're a free agent. You have to watch out for injured players who are out for the season. And despite the fact that they have that name value, like for example, Sidney Crosby, like you see Sidney Crosby on waivers, don't just instantly pick him up because he's Sidney Crosby. Make sure you look and watch out for not picking up injured players.
Great. And just my last point that I wanted to point out, the start of your season is also a great time to go to your opposing teams and maybe test the waters in a trade before the season actually starts.
What is this?
Oh, are you looking at the ads?
No, this person's team name. But interesting fellow right there.
I can't control the team names in my league, guys.
Wow.
But say I really like Brady Tkachuk here.
He did the Avs so dirty recently. I'm sorry about that.
I might want to go try and trade for him or indicate that I'm interested in him using that button and just see what that team might be willing to give up or ask for in return for him, especially if I consider him a player that I think is going to do better than expected this coming year that wasn't so great last year. A good example of that for this year was for me, Vladimir Tarasenko on my team. I know I ranted about him a lot in my on the podcast and especially in post as well. Let me see, where do I have him on this team? Let me go to my other team very quickly. This is our FHP listener league, actually. If you're lucky enough to play in it, you will play us. Actually, we are in this league, the 3 of us, me, Owen, and Ben. However, as you can see, I have Vladimir Tarasenko on my team right now. He was projected 126th in the draft, and his current, I believe, is around 80. So he jumped a full 4 rounds in terms of his production. And although he's had a slow last 7 days, as you see, he's only averaging he only has 1.75 fantasy points average over that time. If you look at his actual yearly average, sorry, let me just go to 2022 season. McDavid, 6.6, obviously. But he is actually averaging 3.7, which is just insane for a guy that I'm getting in the 13th round, right? Anyway, that's going to wrap up our episode for this one. I know this one is a little bit of a longer one. I know we said we were going to keep these between 5 and 10 minutes. It's really easy for you guys. But definitely there's going to be 1 or 2 more episodes in this series just outlining keepers and dynasties and different types of leagues you can have, as well as your trading that we kind of looked at a little bit. But we'll look into that more a little bit next episode. Anyway, any final notes, Owen?
No, just more if you're newer, maybe don't focus too much on all the things we're saying and just try and focus on the very simple things like trading. That's a very slippery slope. Even us, everyone loses trades every now and then. It's a very tricky situation. I would just stick with those waiver ads that we're going to be posting very frequently. And if you can stay up to date with those, you should be fine.
Yes, definitely. But we'll talk about that more in the next episode.
For sure.
Anyway, this is Antonio and Owen, and we'll be signing off for this one. All right, have a good one, guys.